Hello everyone, my name is Emily and I'm an assistant youth and teen librarian here at Fayetteville Public Library, and this is the November Box Book Society video where we will be talking about graphic novels. For the month of November we chose Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. This is one of my all-time favorite graphic novels. It's fantasy, it's adventure, it's romance, and it's so fun. Now, if you are new to the Box Book Society, basically this is just a program where teens sign up and are able to pick up a book box, which includes a copy of that month's book, as well as some other snacks and trinkets and things like that. And at the end of the month, we have a meeting where we discuss the book that was included in the box. And this is just a video that I put out at the beginning of every month to give you guys a little bit of insight on what other books there are in this genre to read. And the genre changes every month. First up, I wanted to talk more about Nimona, and the plot of this is a little bit similar to the book that we read last month, Renegades. Our main character is Nimona, and she is the sidekick to this guy right here. His name is Lord Blackheart, and he is the local villain, and they take it upon themselves to prove that the heroes are not as heroic as they claim to be. And this one is high fantasy, so you've got dragons and castles and fairy tale setting and stuff like that, but we also have some elements of science and science fiction. The graphics are very colorful and fun. I read this one a couple of years ago, and it has definitely stuck with me throughout all of the other graphic novels that I have read thus far. The characters are just really compelling. Noelle Stevenson is very great at tying in illustrations and characterization and dialogue and things like that. So I, for one, am excited to discuss Nimona with you guys. And our meeting is on Monday, November 22nd, 5 p.m. And keep in mind, if you sign up with us to attend this meeting and get your box, there's an option for in-person and for Zoom. So I know this one falls in the week of Thanksgiving break. For those of you who are in physical school, hopefully that won't impede you guys, but if you are traveling, you can always take the Zoom option. So with that, I wanted to give you guys some recommendations from what I have read as far as graphic novels, and graphic novels are like one of my favorite things to read, so I have a ton of them. So I narrowed it down to the graphic novels that were the most similar to Nimona. Now, the first one that I want to tell you guys about is called The Sacrifice of Darkness by Roxane Gay. Now, Roxane Gay doesn't normally write graphic novels. She's really big in feminist literature and a lot of like memoir short story pieces and nonfiction. All of her work is great. This was the first graphic novel by her that I read, and I really enjoyed it. The story follows two different families, and it all starts with this man who has a wife and a son, but he is a minor, and he is in this town where they don't treat the minors well, basically. And they extend their hours, but they don't pay them well enough. And keep in mind, this is science fiction. This is not real, so suspend your disbelief a little bit. But this guy decides to hop in a spaceship and fly into the sun. And this causes the sun to go dormant. So everything is in darkness for years. And it jumps to when the sun is in his late teenage years, and we see the town kind of go absolutely crazy and treat the son horribly just because he's related to the father who essentially ruined the town, but the gist is that the town itself is at fault. And you kind of there's like a back and forth between the story of the dad and the story of the son and how they cope with how the town is treating them and their family, and also the son's attempt to bring light back to their town and to the world. So like I said, this one is more on the science fiction side, but there's also some storylines of romance, and it critiques capitalism and it critiques class systems. So if you're interested in things like that, it is very good. This was The Sacrifice of Darkness by Roxane Gay. Now, the next one that I have for you guys is also science fiction, but it's like down a different trail of science fiction. It is called Paper Girls. Paper Girls is about a group of 12-year-olds who deliver newspapers in their small suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. And it's set in the 80s, so the colors are great, the vibes are great. But the day after Halloween, they are delivering newspapers, and a mysterious force from the future decides to attack their town, and the girls are left to uncover and fight whatever this is. Now, this one has a TV adaptation in the works, so if you are into science fiction graphic novels or graphic novels in general, this is a good series for you. The series is finished. It just finished recently, and that was Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan. The next book that I wanted to tell you guys about is a little bit more paranormal fantasy. It's called The Witch Boy by Molly Ostertag, and our main character is one of the only boys in this long line of female witches, and in their community, the women are the ones that practice the magic. When our main character discovers that he has magic that he wants to wield, he has to keep it a secret. And the story is that in his grandparents' generation, there was a man who wielded magic and went crazy because of it. And so all of these boys are warned away from using magic even if they have access to it. This is a graphic novel trilogy. So the first one is kind of about the main character coming to terms with this and trying to figure out a way to share this with his family. And he also makes a friend from the outside who kind of supports him. And this is also a mystery because there is an outside force that is kidnapping boys, specifically from his witch community. This one is technically a middle grade graphic novel, but I still really enjoyed it. I think it's a great read for any age. And this series is also complete, and we have all the volumes at the library. And that was The Witch Boy by Molly Ostertag. The next one I want to talk to you guys about is called Moonstruck or Magic to Brew by Grace Ellis. It's like a paranormal alternate universe type story. The character is a barista in a coffee shop that is located in a college town that is made up of mythical creatures. So her best friend and roommate is a centaur, and her love interest is a werewolf, and there's like a ton of different characters as far as that. We've got shapeshifters, witches, stuff like that. Now this is kind of the same plot as The Witch Boy. There's a mysterious force that is working within the town to disrupt the very nice, peaceful balance of power. And so that's kind of a path that the main character has to take with her friends, and it does directly involve her when one of her friends gets sucked into this mysterious plot that's happening in the town. And just like the last one, this one is a great fall winter read. It's very cozy, it's very silly and fun. It's perfect for spooky season. I know we are just coming off of that, but maybe you're like me and you like spooky things year round. So that was Magic to Brew by Grace Ellis. Another one I have to share with you guys is The Deep and Dark Blue by Nikki Smith. And this is another middle grade one, but it's a great read for all ages. This one is more science fantasy. There's elements of science fiction and fantasy. The main characters are twin boys in this ruling family who have had generations of rulers. And it starts out when they're younger, and their family is attacked. Their older brother is killed. Everyone in their family is killed except for them, because they managed to get away. And to hide, they go into the Society of the Blue, which is kind of like a sisterhood of magic wielders. But in order to do this, the boys have to pose as girls, and they are raised in this sisterhood, and they learn to weave blue thread, which is if you read it, you'll see it's tied to this entire magic system. These women are the most powerful people in this society, and so they end up being raised and protected in this society. And once they come of age, I think they're like 16 maybe, they start to try and get to the bottom of what actually happened with their family, and if they can ever leave the sisterhood and rule the way that they rightfully want to. And this one is super interesting because it talks a lot about gender identity and gender performance. One of the main characters is trans. It's just super interesting, and I think it's a really great way to talk about things like that, like gender identity and performance, with younger kids or just with anyone. It's great symbolism. I just thought it was super interesting and that I wanted to mention it. And that is The Deep and Dark Blue by Nikki Smith. And the last one that I wanted to tell you guys about is another recent favorite of mine. It is another trilogy, and we have all copies at the library. It is called The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. And this one is also another fantasy book. It's definitely more low fantasy because you get all of those fantasy elements that you like, with like the fairy tale style, the nice cozy graphics, but there isn't a lot of world building. So it's more character driven. In this series, every book follows a different character. So in the first one, which is just called The Tea Dragon Society, there is a teenage blacksmith who happens upon this couple in their town, and this couple takes care of tea dragons. And tea dragons are exactly what you would think. They're just tiny, like teacup-sized dragons. And in this society, tea dragons make like the tea leaves and everything that you can get tea out of, and those have magical properties. And so in this world, that is like a really important thing that some people do, is raise tea dragons. And so this entire book is just about the main character learning how to take care of tea dragons and bonding with this couple. This series is just so soft. It's very much about learning how to go back to your roots, take care of nature, commune with the world around you, whether that's with your community or with animals or nature, etc., etc. But this one is very cute. Also honestly a great read anytime. But it's a great one to curl up with on a rainy day and just look at. The illustrations are really beautiful. That is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. And that is all that I have for you guys today. Do not forget that we are reading Nimona by Noelle Stevenson for our November book pick. And our meeting is on November 22nd on a Monday at 5 p.m. And you can sign up to be in person or online on Zoom. If you pick up a book box, you just have to make sure that you come to the meeting. I am super excited to talk to you guys about Nimona, but until then, happy reading. See you guys next time.